So people ask, why do I support Palestine? I'll tell you why. Let's take an example. A thief came to my house with a knife and says, get out of here. What the? So I would say, this is my house. I can't leave. Then he tied me up and started hitting me. And he hits my parents, grandparents, and my kids. So what should I do? So while they are looking away, I untie the rope and punch his face to protect myself. Then the people next to us say, why? Why are you hitting him? Violence is bad. Do you agree with that? And people say again, now the time passed. So this is the thief's house. It's not your home anymore. Do you really agree with that? Look at the truth. The owner of the house is Palestine, not others. It's not the thief's house. Free Palestine.
Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared podcast, home of people, politics, and popular culture. I'm your host, Austin Creed, and my friends, I gotta really try not to lose my crap at the beginning of the show. It's not a good look. But when I listen to Nazi-era propaganda being pushed by these know-nothing morons who think that they're trying to help people when all they're actually doing is calling for the genocide of Jews, it makes me sick. Sick! It makes me sick. But you know what? You know what this highlights to me more than ever before? That we are surrounded by know-nothing, morons, lemmings, oxygen thieves, sheep. You want to know why I call this show the Sheep Get Sheared podcast? You want to know why I call it that? Because we are surrounded by sheep. People who might as well have a ring, a bell around their neck and braying in a field. That's how useful they are. All they're good for are taxes and voting Biden. That's all they're good for. They're born Democrat voters who all they're good for are funding the government and voting in the vermin. That's it. That's all they're good for. And they know that. All they gotta do, promise them free stuff, give them some fake stuff to care about, or drum up extra sympathy for no reason. For example, me and one of my best friends were talking yesterday. He's Ukrainian, by the way, as in he was born in Ukraine. Not the fake people who were like, yeah, my great-great-great-grandfather's, uncle lived in Kiev, when it was called Kiev and not Kyiv, and I care a lot about this issue. No, he was actually born in Ukraine and was adopted to the States. He and I had a conversation last night, and he and I were talking about how he gets attacked on X for talking about this Ukrainian conflict. He gets attacked for saying, hey guys, I was actually born in the country. I lived in the country as a baby, and I got adopted to the country. I'm a first generation American. And I don't think that taxpayer money from the United States should be going to pay for this war. His hometown got destroyed. And we had a long conversation, and he was crying to me about why his hometown was obliterated by the Russians. And yet even he sees the fact that this is just another chance for the military-industrial complex to make a bag for Lockheed, Boeing, in my opinion, and others like them, to make a bag off the American people's gorging themselves on taxpayer money. Gorging themselves on the taxpayers' money. And he sees it. It's something he doesn't care about his country, his home country that he was born in. But he realizes he loves America. And he and I talked about it last night, about how we should be using American taxpayer dollars to help Americans, not the rich military industrial complex. And as we were talking about it last night, I realized something. I said, you know what? I have not gone in on this issue that much. You hear the battle lines have been drawn. One side, we got the communist. Let's see, who do we have on the pro-Palestinian side? Let's take a little count here. We have the Palestinians. That's to be expected. Muslims, communists, anti-Semitic people, Nazis, and then who do we have on the other side? We have some Christians, Jews, people who live in Israel, and educated people. Look, if you think that this is just leftists attacking Israel, unfortunately, you're mistaken. This is coming both from the left and the right. As much as it pains me to say that, I wish I could sit here and tell you that it's all coming from the left. It's those dang leftists again, those commie vermin. Of course they're stirring the pot. I mean, that's to be expected. They learned from the Alinsky school that never let a crisis go to waste, kind of the same way that Obama did. But, they learned their lesson pretty well. But it's not just coming from them. I see people who espouse very similar views on X, who then want to tell me that Israel is a terrorist state. And I look at them and I'm like, how in the world can you support Palestine over Israel? You know what makes me laugh, ladies and gentlemen? Before I'll get into the origins of the slogans. Don't worry about it. I'll get into that in a second. This is a stream of consciousness show. But let me explain something to you. The people who support Palestine the most fervently, do you think they would actually last a week living in Palestine? Do they not realize that Palestinians tend to be very extremist Muslims, and Muslims tend to not like people, that happen to be maybe homosexual, who are communistic, who don't believe in freedom of speech, who believe in Sharia law. No, they don't understand these things. I saw a video on X again recently about a man being flogged. That's right, flogged in the streets for breaking the law. And I said to myself, my God, it's like I'm living in the 14th century. These throwbacks. It's like I'm living in the 9th, 8th century. People who only believe in the self-sufficiency of the Quran, most of them are converts. They're uneducated in their own religion. And then they have the nerve to sit here and tell me slogans like, from the river to the sea, free Palestine, Zionism is racism, all these things. Do you want to know where those slogans came from? We're going to learn it right here on the Sheep Get Sheared podcast, because I'm going to tell you right now. And if you don't want to believe me, that's totally fine. You are more than welcome to put your head in the sand like an ostrich and not listen. You could say I'm an agent of Israel. You can say whatever the hell you want. I'm a truth sayer. I like to research things. You ready for it? Back when Israel was first founded, after the conclusion of World War II, the so-called colonizing British gave Israel back to the Jews that had been taken from them historically. If you want to read a damn history book, you bums, you uneducated pot-smoking morons, you. If you want to actually read a history book, you'll realize that Jews have lived in that area since 2000 BC. But you wouldn't know that with all the revisionist history, all the damage the Nazis did. You wouldn't know that. But Israel was given back to the Jews. And then we have people like that one, that moron, that schmuck, that putz, who made that video at the beginning of the show that I played, talking about comparing Jews to a break-in burglar who steals your house and beats your grandma and beats your kids and calls it theirs. Sir, are you aware that during the time of the Roman Empire, Jews lived in what they called Palestine? You know, that man named Jesus of Nazareth who lived during the Roman Empire days? Oh, you know that guy? Yeah, that was when Jews lived in the region. Oh, but you didn't know that, did you? Because you didn't read a history book. Anyways, back to the slogans. But when Israel was first founded, obviously, the neighbors of the newly founded state of Israel were not thrilled that the Jews now had their own state. So what did they do? Well, they decided that it would be smart to day and night call for the death and eradication of all Jews. And you had leaders, oh God, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Why am I blanking on this dude's name? I'm forgetting his name. He was the prime minister of Palestine at the time, the state of Palestine. He was calling for the death of Jews, eradication of Jews, and the then Soviet Union said, hey, whoa, stop. We cannot be associated with you if you keep saying this. You got it all wrong. Do not call for the death of the Jews. No. Say free Palestine. We want freedom for my people. Don't say death to Jews. Say freedom to Palestine. Oh, you didn't know that, did you? Yes, the good old KGB Soviet Union gave them the Free Palestine slogan, as well as the Zionism is racism. Oh, yeah. Oh, you didn't know that, did you? Because they don't talk about this on social media. They don't want you to know that it was the Soviets, the communists, who gave these slogans to the Palestinian people in hopes of getting rid of the Jews, because they hated Jews. They were the blood brothers of the socialists in Germany who also hated Jews. But you didn't know that because you weren't taught that in school. I don't blame you, because they don't want to advertise that they have slogans written for them by the KGB and they're using it in modern day America. They don't want you to know that, though. Because if you know that, you're liable to actually ask questions. Like, for example, where did they get all the signs from? Who's responsible for funding all these 300,000 people marches that happens in D.C. or the marches that are happening in every big major city in the United States and around the world? Who do you think is giving them the money to do it? Could it be the fact that the Middle East is drowning in oil money? And while you're at it, can you kindly explain to me that if Palestine's such a wonderful, amazing paradise of a place, and all their people are so wonderful and they're all such victims, can you kindly explain to me why next to zero, if not zero, Arab countries want the Palestinian refugees in their country, and you have to look to countries like Greece, America, and Spain for Palestinian refugees, which is so ironic, you won't believe it. Were you aware that back in the day, it was the Muslim invaders who almost took over all of Spain? And it took war to drive them out? Oh, you didn't know about that, did you? No? Not surprised. Were you also aware that back in the day, it was the Ottoman Empire run by a sultan, a Muslim, who also would lock Greek Christians in their churches and burn them alive? Oh, you didn't know about that, huh? See how convenient it is when they leave out these very real stories? And there was also, who was it? I believe it, I don't want to get people's names wrong, because then you're going to assume that everything I've said is false, which is not true at all. I'm trying to remember the dude's name. He was a Muslim scholar. I can't pronounce a lot of these people's names too. That's another reason why it's hard for me to remember. By the way, I apologize about that. But what I do know is that he made the observation that everybody with a pair of human eyes could see. And if they wanted to open their ears, they could listen to it. That yes, it is true that not all Muslims are terrorists, but it is unfortunately true that the majority of terrorists happen to be Muslim. Now, can you kindly explain to me why that is? Have we forgotten that it was Hamas that started this conflict? See, you've been so brainwashed. You would be almost forgiven for forgetting that it was the Iran-funded Hamas group that attacked Israel, slaughtered Jewish grandmothers and raped their granddaughters in front of them, burned babies, like threw a baby in the oven like the Nazis did at Auschwitz, and then want to conveniently forget about that. All they want to see is show the fact that Gaza is being bombed while they're putting their weapons on top of hospitals. They're putting their weapons inside universities. They are doing these things on purpose so that the schmucks in the media and on social media can get the pictures of them blowing the place to smithereens after warning the people they're going to blow it up because it's containing terrorist technology that was used to kill Jews. They then want to pretend like, oh, it's those terrorist Jews that are trying to kill all the poor Palestinians and their babies. No, my friends, it's not true. No, it's not true. But that's all that's seen on social media. All of it. That's all that's seen. So many people don't know history. They're lemmings. They're stupid. Where's Golda Meir now that we need her, man? No one even knows who she is anymore. You ever know who Golda Meir was? The only woman prime minister of Israel? Yeah, where are the feminists talking about Golda Meir? Answer: nowhere, because they're phonies, they're fakes, they're communist bums that are more focused on the overturn of the family than they are about actually bringing up important women who have helped entire ethnic groups. My friends, the origin of these pro-Palestinian slogans that you're hearing today are from the KGB Soviet communist vermin. And they're also contained within the charters of terrorist groups and within the constitution and charters of Palestine itself. Slogans such as "from the river to the sea" refers to the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. In other words, erase Jews. All of you pro-Palestinians out there who want to talk about how evil Israel is, please, I would love for you to answer this one question. Which country, if one country were to lay down its arms, which country, which state, which side would be more likely to bathe in the other's blood? If Israel put down its weapons today, there'd be a second Holocaust on our hands. And if Hamas and the Palestinians put down their arms, there would still be a Palestine tomorrow. But you don't want to accept that. You've been convinced by the communists, by the Muslims, the radical ones, that this is Israel's fault, and it couldn't be further from the truth. But you've taken the bait like a guppy in a fish tank. They lowered the bait, you swallowed the hook. I implore you to understand what it is you say before it comes out of your filthy mouth. They don't realize they're repeating the same rhetoric that Goebbels, Hitler's propagandist, put forward in the 1930s and 40s. They don't know that because they don't read history. I implore you to educate yourself quickly, not in revisionist history, but actual history, before it is too late. My friends, please be praying for this disaster, this atrocity that is happening in the Middle East and Ukraine as well. My friends, this is a very difficult time in the United States history and in world history. I implore you to not be a reactionary. Do not be a reactionary. Become educated. My friends, God bless you. God bless your families, and God bless the United States of America during this trying time. We will make it through this. We can only pray and wait. Peace.